Hello, hello, good morning. I'm going to adjust this because the sun is coming in very bright today. Good morning, happy Monday morning. I'll just kind of chat here for a few minutes as people hop on. I am so excited to talk about this topic today. If you've missed the other two topics that I covered from this series, Tapping into Your Inner Badass, over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, make sure you go back and watch the recording of both of those because they're good. I've been getting so much great feedback on each of these different videos. As you hop on, make sure to say hello and let me know you're on. I would love to hear from you, and make sure to comment and let me know when we're talking. Like if anything comes up you want to share, definitely comment while I'm talking. But I've been getting so much great feedback from this series, from these different topics, because I think everybody has, like, they know, you have that little like inner badass, like way deep down inside. Maybe it's not way deep down, maybe it's like something that you represent every single day and you own it and you're out there being badass. But I think a lot of times we struggle with this, and it's something that giving ourselves that permission, which is something that I'm going to say again and again, is so important to not only rocking our badass, but just ultimately rocking our dream life and really saying yes to our desires, to the things that we truly want to create for ourselves. And so each of these different topics over the course of this next week, I'm going through each of these topics, I'm going to cover things that help you to give yourself that permission and to do the things that are going to have that ripple effect into every aspect of your life. As you own your power, as you say yes to yourself, you shine, and then you give other people permission to shine as well. So that's something we talked about yesterday. So welcome Kristen, welcome Stephanie, so great to see you on. And so today's topic is about releasing and forgiving old stories that don't serve us anymore. Welcome Lori. I think you're gonna love this one. I think sometimes our old stories, like the things that have happened to us, and we talked about that yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was 2 days ago in the Finding Your Purpose. We talked about how things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And a lot of times what can happen is that as things happened in life, we tend to like grab a hold of them, and then we tend to like cycle in that story and tell that story all the time and use it to explain why we are where we are, and use it to not make excuses, but I think sometimes having old stories of hardship or, being a victim in some way help us to feel comfort, because then we allow ourselves to say, like, see, that's why that thing that happened to me, that person, that thing is the reason why I don't have what I want in my life. That's the reason why I am holding myself back, or that person did this to me, so it's not my fault. And it's really easy to be like, it's not my fault, it's their fault, or it's this fault, or, well, I have this, so I can't do that. That's comfortable, right? Because it allows us to sort of put the blame elsewhere. And honestly, like, I want you guys to know that I absolutely respect that some people have had great hardships in their life. And so I'm not trying to minimize that at all. What I want to do today, and the purpose of this topic being part of tapping into your inner badass, is to help you to see that even when really crappy things happen, I can say shitty because I said badass. So even when really shitty things happen, it's actually to our benefit. And there is a way to see that as a silver lining and to let go and release that hold that thing has on us. That thing that, we've been using to sort of like keep ourselves small, to release and forgive that so that we can then be free, right? It's not about forgiving someone else. It's not about letting anyone else off the hook for something that they chose to do. Like, they still need to take responsibility for their own actions. Welcome, Mom. I love your little likes. Thank you. It's that they need to take responsibility, of course, for their own actions. This isn't about releasing and forgiving them because they deserve that. This is about releasing and forgiving because we deserve that. Because every single day when we don't forgive, we get out of bed and we pick up that thing and we like carry it around with us like a big bag of like baggage. Really, like if you think about it, can you guys relate to this? When you think about the things, the old stories that you've been telling yourself, that this thing happened, or I'm a victim to that circumstance, or, you know, and you use these stories to explain yourself. Can you feel how heavy that is? Do you feel that? Like, it's heavy on your heart, it's heavy on your body. You know, a lot of times what happens is when we have a lot of old stories and a lot of baggage, a lot of times related to sexual abuse, verbal abuse, abuse in general, we tend to carry that as extra weight on our body because we're trying to protect ourselves. We want to feel safe. We want to feel hidden because we've learned that to be seen is unsafe, right? So that makes sense. So as you start to understand that, if you've been trying to lose weight for a while, or you want to get really healthy, or you know, you want to be seen in some way in your life, in your career, in relationships, if you are looking to find your partner, but you've been struggling with that, take some time to reflect on the stories that you tell yourself and really pay attention to, am I using these stories to keep myself hidden and safe, or to block attention, or to block myself from going and doing those things that ultimately could allow me to live my dream life, but I'm super scared. So it's easier for me to just stay safe in this comfort zone and tell those old stories that keep me safe than it is to let go of those old stories, forgive them, write a new story, which is what we're going to talk about today, and then give myself that permission and freedom to shine in all of these new ways that maybe previously I didn't allow myself to. So that's really what this is all about. And I actually take my clients through a whole exercise of forgiveness in my immersion program. And we're not going to go that deep here today, but I do want to give you some tips and some steps to get started. So Lori says, it's very hard to forgive. It's something I've been working on a lot lately, both forgiving myself and forgiving others who have hurt me. It totally is. You know, especially like I was saying earlier, if you had something happen to you that was really terrible, you know, it was really hard, was really painful. Like, that's the thing. You know why we hang on to this stuff? You know why we tell these stories? Because we are afraid of getting hurt that bad again. So it's so much easier to walk around with a shell around our heart and this protection to keep us safe and the story to keep people away, because we don't want to ever experience that again. So we think, you know, this is how our programming works. Like, if we keep telling that story, then it's like we're warning other people, we're keeping ourselves like reminded, hey, this happened, don't let that happen again. And so it's keeping us like, I kind of envision it like a wall around your heart, because you want to keep it safe, right? You want to protect yourself. And maybe even like not even just yourself, maybe you want to protect your kids, maybe you want to protect your family, whatever it is, you have to be conscious of that and see it from this perspective of like, okay, yes, I am doing that. You know, I am hanging on to this old story, and it is so hard for me to forgive because I never want to experience that again. And I absolutely deserve the freedom of what it feels like to not be telling that story anymore, and to not be carrying around that anger and that resentment, whatever other negative emotions that are tied to it. Because as we've talked about, and I kind of covered this in some of the earlier videos, any negative emotion that we're carrying around consistently on a daily basis is keeping our body in the stress response. And the stress response is really unhealthy for us to be stuck in for the long term. And it has to do with your central nervous system. So if you're constantly in, there's two branches of your central nervous system. There's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is the fight or flight response. The parasympathetic is the relaxation response. All of our body's functions typically function well when we're in the relaxation response. But most times, most people are walking around on a daily basis in the sympathetic fight or flight response because of emotional pain, negative emotions, because of the physical stress of being go, go, go all of the time. So our body is stuck in the stress response all the time. You know, we're not meant to be there all the time. We're meant to be there when we're trying to get ourselves out of danger. Like, you know, back in the day when we're being chased by a tiger, like that's that's the example that everyone uses. So you can see how, like, in short spurts, of course that's helpful, but to be in that stress response all the time, it blocks your body from functioning like it's supposed to, and none of your systems work like they're supposed to, and it is just really hard on you, like physically and emotionally, right? I just recently heard an analogy that I thought was really great, is like, if you imagine it like a car, if you constantly beat up on your car, both emotionally and physically, your body is your car, then of course your parts are going to start falling apart, right? Like, of course things are going to wear out faster because you're beating up on it. You're not taking care of it. You're not doing the inner work and the outer work to make sure that you're maintaining it. And I'm not directing this to you, Lori. I'm just saying this in general. So when we put that into perspective, we can start to see that the only person who truly suffers when we hang on to our old stories is ourselves. Because give me some likes if you guys can relate to this, or if this makes sense. Like, are you having ahas? Good. We are the one who suffers the most, because we are the one who is carrying that around on a daily basis. And the moment we give ourselves permission to start doing the work to release it, that's when we can start to see that it's almost like we take off those glasses of victimhood, of sorrow, of anger, of resentment, and we put on new glasses that allow us to see the world in a whole new way. And this is why this is part of the Tapping Into Your Inner Badass series, because we need to release and let go of the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore, the old stories, the baggage, the resentment, the anger, the fear. And we need to step forward in trust in ourselves and confidence, which is something that obviously, sometimes it takes time to build confidence. It's not an overnight thing, but we have to let go in order to make room for what we want to step into. And that's when we can start to think about, this is the work. This is the work. It's not about just making a to-do list and going into action and being like, well, I want a 6-figure income. I want to lose 25 pounds. I want to find my ideal guy. I want to, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going to go into action. It's about, no, who do I need to become in order to receive that? Who do I need? What is the version of me is going to allow myself to receive that? Because if you don't do the inner work, you're never going to let yourself have it. You're just going to continue to block it. I don't deserve that. And then you're going to sabotage in so many different ways because you don't feel deserving. You don't feel worthy. And so to do the inner work is the game changer. That's what makes this stuff stick for the long term. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching everything that I do, because I know that whether we're talking about weight loss or nourishing, like getting healthy, or your career, finding your ideal, like doing what I do. Is people ask me all the time, like, how do you do that? What do you do with, your work? How do you have the freedom and flexibility and all of this stuff? And I was like, honestly, you have to become the person who can allow yourself to do that, because most people don't think it's possible. The inner work, really getting yourself to that spot where you deserve this. In order to feel deserving of the things that we want, we have to build the confidence. In order to build the confidence, we have to let go of the stuff that's been telling us that we don't deserve it. So does all of this make sense? Do you see how this is all like a big self-fulfilling prophecy? I want to know, do you guys is it clicking for you? Let me know. Give me some hearts, leave a comment, whatever you feel like doing. That's the explanation behind it. So how do you forgive and let go? So here's the very simple step-by-step process. The first thing is, and this is going to be challenging, especially if you have tough stuff that you need to forgive, is to write a letter. And you can do this I wouldn't suggest doing it in your journal, because I would suggest doing it and then burning it afterwards, which sounds crazy and silly, but it's sort of like, again, part of the release is like when it turns to ashes, it's like done with that. I would write a letter, or I would like you. I'm doing jumping jacks. You're so funny. The first step is to write a letter, and you can do this multiple times if you have multiple people to forgive, but usually I would say pick the biggest one, whether that's you, whether that's a person from your past, family member, a friend, whatever, and write them a letter. And start that letter out by saying, I'm mad at you. I am angry with you. Whatever the emotion is that comes to you is, I am whatever. And don't hold back, just write. And you're not gonna filter either, you're just gonna let your hand go. And you just write. And you tell them the reasons why you're angry. And I also want to preface this by, like, a lot of times with therapy, we tend to go back and talk about that old story a lot. Like, I want this to be like the last time you're going back to this old story. Like, this is it. This is like, just, you're going to put it all out there. You're going to put it all onto that paper. And you're going to tell them, like, this is why I'm angry. And then you start to see how, like, look for a way to start to shift from anger into maybe not compassion right away, maybe not understanding right away, but a feeling of like, and I'm so done with this. I'm so ready to let this go. I'm so ready to stop telling this old story because it's hurting me. You know, it's not hurting you, it's hurting me. And I can see how that's showing up in my life, in my relationships, in my career. It's holding me back in so many ways, and I'm ready to let this go. And then from there, see if you can start. So the first step is to tell them how pissed off you are. The second step is to tell them you're ready to let this go. The third step is to look for a way that you can see, that you can understand, or possibly even have compassion for them for why they did that. Because I want you to shift this. I want you to start to see that, like, even people who do terrible things are human beings who have their own problems. And most people, even people that do terrible things, are like a hurt little kid that had something happen to them when they were young. And that's just showing up in their life now because that's the only way that they know how to deal with it. If you can start to see the ways that maybe you can have compassion for them because you can understand maybe where this came from or why, getting all kinds of text messages, maybe why they chose to act in that way, it will help you to diffuse the anger that you have towards them. And even for yourself, like, if this is writing to yourself, you know, look for the reasons why you did that thing, or like where this might be coming from. Look for reasons to have compassion for yourself. And then finally, the fourth part is to write that I'm ready to release this. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to open myself up and talk about the future. Write about the future now and spend a lot of time there if you can, because you really want to build up that muscle of strength of your focus on the future, because you've been building this muscle of talking about that thing, you know, that doesn't serve you. It's like a giant muscle of that old story. So now you need to build a new muscle, and you need to make that muscle just as big. And you do that by putting your attention there, by visualizing it, by thinking about it, by telling that new story, by looking for the reasons why this is actually of benefit to you and why this happened. It made you stronger, made you more clear about what you want for your life. And the more you practice that way of speaking and thinking, the more that that will become your natural way of being. Lori says, so much garbage in adulthood stems from garbage from childhood. Some folks can compensate for a while, but then it comes out later. Well, yeah, a lot of times we try to block it. Like, we try to just like slap a happy face sticker on an empty gas tank, or we try to stuff our emotions. Most people, that's what happens, is they stuff their emotions and then it comes out in some other way, like an addiction or something, especially the longer you try to stuff it and pretend it's not there. So what I always have my clients do is, like, feel the emotion, like, acknowledge it. Whatever that emotion is that you're feeling, don't try to pretend that you're not feeling that. Don't try to pretend that that didn't happen. It's, yes, like, your old story is part of your life. It did happen. I don't want you to pretend that it didn't. I just want you to stop putting your attention there. I want you to put your attention on where it is that you're going. And so, you know, when you're going through the grieving process, whatever sort of processing you're doing with your emotions, sometimes there is grieving related to anger. You know, when we have this thing that's been making us angry or resentful for a long time, we have to give ourselves permission to go through the grieving process over that. Sometimes we have to grieve a relationship. Sometimes we have to grieve the old version of what we thought our life was, and allow ourselves to see that we're transitioning into something new, and we do have to grieve the old and then move into the new. But in either case, to be able to see it as like something that has helped us to become more of who we truly want to be is the way that you can turn this into a gift. And I know that sometimes that's challenging to see that something that happened to us in the past that really was very, very hard could possibly be a gift. But the more that you can start to consciously look for ways to see it as that, the better off you're going to be in life, you know? And again, this is not about anybody else but you. Like, this is about you giving yourself permission to step into that biggest, boldest, best version of your life. And the only way to do that is to release these negative emotions that we carry around so that we can open ourselves up to receiving the emotions that we truly do want to feel. So what do you want to trade those old emotions, the resentment, anger, fear, worry in for? Like, you know, rather than hanging out in those on a daily basis, what do you want to trade them in for? You want to trade them in for maybe joy or peace or happiness or radiance, whatever words make you light up. You want to focus your attention on those emotions. You want to look for reasons to feel those things. And we've already talked about yesterday about looking, you know, making the list of 5 things to appreciate and really acknowledging the things that are amazing that happen around us every single day, and just look for reasons to be happy. And again, it's all about strengthening that muscle, or reprogramming us to release the negativity and step into our power fully. So does that make sense? Was this helpful for you guys? I'd love to hear from you. I really would love for these Facebook Lives to be, you know, much about you as it is about what I'm sharing. I really want to support you guys in working through this stuff so that you truly can tap into and step into your inner badass. So all right, I will end there then. If nobody has any questions or anything else, I was on a little bit early today because I do have a call today at 9 Pacific. But I'll be on around 9 o'clock every day this week except for Wednesday. I'm going to do it in the evening, so I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Just, you know, pop on, follow along. I love seeing you guys here. If you watch the recording, definitely leave a comment and let me know what you think. And if this is something that you need further help with, if you want to know more about my immersion program and how I really truly support you in not only releasing and forgiving of the past, but really releasing and forgiving your self-sabotage so you can step into your power. You can sign up for or apply for a 30-minute discovery session with me, and the link to do that is at sheilaveers.com/coaching. Or if you just want to get on my newsletter, you can go to sheilaveers.com/free gift. And I have a special little bonus there for you for signing up and getting on my newsletter. That is a free guide that is 3 steps to losing weight without restriction. So you'll get that right away when you sign up for my newsletter. So with that, I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you every single day for one of these little gems. Hopefully you guys got some wisdom from it. So take care and have an amazing day.